Right, so in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at a lawsuit between two TikTokers that do very similar content. And in fact, that is literally the reason of the lawsuit, because the content is just a bit too similar. So like I mentioned, there's two creators we're talking about today. The first one being Sydney Nicole, a TikToker with 542,000 followers. And the second person being Alyssa Sheil, a TikToker with 278,000 followers. They both create like fashion and lifestyle content. We can see by page here, like she's got like my new sneakers, home favorites, you know, the stuff we've seen a lot of people do on social media. And as we can also see here, there is currently a pending lawsuit, the plaintiff being Sydney Nicole Gifford and the defendant being Alyssa Sheil. Now annoyingly, I can't look at the lawsuit itself because I'm in the UK. When you go and look at a lawsuit like this, you have to prove your address, have like a US address and all this stuff. So I can't look at the specific lawsuit. But there has been a lot of articles covering this, so we get a good idea here. So the backstory between these two was actually mentioned in the lawsuit, and it says, Gifford alleges that Sheil had blocked her on Instagram and TikTok in January 2023 after the two met for a photo shoot collaboration. Around that time, according to the lawsuit, Sheil began to publish posts that featured the same or similar Amazon products Gifford promoted, using styling and captions that also appeared to replicate Gifford's. Right, so as we can see, these two knew each other personally, to the point where they actually met up to do a collaboration, and some things went wrong clearly, because Alyssa ended up blocking Sydney on social media. We don't know exactly why that was. Seems like they fell out for whatever reason. But as we can also see, this lawsuit is all because Sydney believes that Alyssa is copying her content. Now, I'm no lawyer, but I feel like that would be an incredibly hard thing to prove. I mean, the fact that the content looks similar would obviously be easy to prove. You just show the content side by side. But to prove the content is 100% unique to Sydney, it was her idea and now it's being taken, I feel like that's going to be difficult. Now, if we read a bit further, it goes on to say, according to the complaint, which was filed in district court in Texas, Gifford spends upwards of 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, researching unique products and services that may fit her brand identity, testing and assessing those products and services, styling photos and videos, promoting such products and editing posts. Now, I don't mean to be that guy, but I probably doubt that. I'm not saying that she doesn't work hard by any means, but 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, you never get a day off? Yeah, I doubt that. As a result, according to the complaint, Sydney has become well known for promoting certain goods from Amazon, including household goods, apparel, and accessories, through original photo and video works. Now again, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure you would have to prove that that is kind of like unique to you, and you are well known for that specifically. The lawsuit goes on to allege that defendant Sheil replicated the neutral, beige, and cream aesthetic of Gifford's brand identity, featured the same or substantially the same Amazon products promoted by Gifford, and contained styling and textural captions replicating those of Gifford's posts. It says at least 40 of Sheil's posts featured identical styling, tone, camera angle, and/or text to Sydney's. Here's a pretty obvious one. It goes on to show some comparisons that we will show in just a second. And when we do show these comparisons, it becomes pretty clear that Alyssa's work is very, very, very similar to Sydney's. Some would almost say copied. But there is a massive difference in someone like me who just sits here and makes YouTube videos for a living saying that some content is copied and actually proving it in court. Now, obviously, I don't know what the outcome is going to be here because it's still ongoing, but the most recent update that we will get to a lot more a bit later is actually just from Monday just past, and Alyssa's attorneys have asked the court to dismiss several of the claims. Now, I'll apologize straight away because the photos aren't the best quality, but here are some of the comparisons that were used in the lawsuit. So here we actually have Sydney on the left, and obviously the outfit and kind of the style of the photo is important here, and then we have Alyssa in, I think, the exact same outfit, kind of doing the same pose. Here we also have a comparison between two videos that they uploaded going to the same place, and as you can see, it's the Tox. I don't really know what that is. I wish we had both videos, but a lot of them have been taken down. But yeah, they go to this place, they kind of show it the same way, I guess, like showing the mat on the floor. Here we also have a comparison between Sydney's Amazon storefront idea list, and then we have Alyssa's Amazon storefront idea list. I don't even know what a storefront idea list is, but they have a lot of the same products. The ones that are circled are the same products. Here again, carry on with the same stuff. We have Sydney on the left in this outfit. We have Alyssa on the right showing her outfit. As we can see, we've circled like the thing around her neck and like the boots, which are very similar. Here we have a couple more pictures. On the left, we have Sydney. On the right, we have Alyssa. And finally, and probably the funniest one, we have this one right here where they're doing some like brand like video, I guess, where they're opening some package, and it is shot the exact same, to the point where these little like tabletop things are the exact same. Even the sofa is very similar. I just thought this was funny because like this is such like a random thing to copy, like these two little tables. Now here we actually have some opinions from an attorney who's not linked to this case, but specifically works with clients and intellectual property, and this is what her opinions were. Does Gifford have a case? Here's what I think. To prevail on the claim of infringement of her trade dress, Gifford will have to establish at a minimum that consumers associate her aesthetic aesthetic with her. That may be difficult because, at least to my eyes, the style of Gifford's post doesn't seem wildly different from a lot of other influencers. I mean, yeah, it definitely doesn't. And that's not me saying that Alyssa didn't copy the post. I mean, if them posts were all after Sydney posted them, it does seem like she did. Or at least some of them are too similar to, like, say otherwise. But again, like, it's very different from me saying that and proving that in court. I'm so not her target audience, and I'm doing my best not to dunk on her aesthetic, but I have to put aesthetic in quotes to convey my eye roll. The claim under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act is based on the fact that Sheil removed Gifford's name or social media handle from post. This is, shall we say, a novel argument given that the intent of the DMCA is to prevent people from circumventing digital rights management software. This is not that at all. The copyright claim is going to raise a lot of questions about exactly how original these social media posts are, and as a result, how much protection under copyright law they are entitled to. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking, right? Obviously, she is not just reposting Sydney's content, which would be very different. She's going out and making her own content that looks very, very similar. And as we're reading here, a big part of this is how much protection under copyright law is Sydney entitled to with these posts if they're just being recreated. Gifford and other social media influencers might find out that they don't like the answer to this question. If Gifford is able to establish that the consumers associate her aesthetic with her, she could win the battle, but lose the war because it might open up her to lawsuits by other influencers who claim she copied their look. Yeah, here's the thing, right? It looks like these posts have been copied somewhat, which is shit, right? If you saw someone was copying your post that you worked hard on, you'd be pretty pissed off. But if this does go through in court and Sydney comes away with a win here, it does seem like it could be a little bit dangerous for, like, future cases. Because who's to say what's copied, right? If there's a trend that someone started on social media, then loads of people are doing this trend, like, I don't know, like a fucking dance or just whatever you would say, like a normal trend. Do they now have protection under the copyright law where they can go and sue these people for copying the trend? I get that's a little bit different because there's quite a few posts here that are very similar, but still, like, I feel like it could be dangerous in the future if this does go through. Now, like I mentioned earlier in the video, attorneys for Alyssa Sheil on Monday asked the US District Court for the Western District of Texas to dismiss several claims brought forth by Sydney Nicole Gifford, who in April accused Sheil of copyright infringement for posting social media content that mimicked her neutral beige and cream aesthetic. And here we actually have a quote from that saying, "Sheil has never infringed on any work of Gifford's because Sheil's work is independently developed, does not use anything belonging to Gifford, and is not based on anything posted by Gifford," the court document states. Now, from my opinion, it does seem like a few of them are based on some of the posts, but yeah, they're right. It is still Alyssa's work. She still has went out and filmed it herself, which I think is important here. And again, I think you really have to separate, like, morally what you think in a situation and legally what could be possible here. Sheil's attorneys argued that brands often contact similar influencers and content creators not because they are unique, but because they are similar. For that reason, it is no surprise that the same business who contacted Gifford, who has a predominantly white audience, would also want to work with Sheil as she is a successful black Latina beauty influencer, the court document states. The fact that the two women published similar products around the same time is explained by the fact that these products were being pushed to both women. Now, after the motion to dismiss was filed, we actually got a response here from Gifford's manager. So Sydney's manager here, this was on Tuesday, and it says, "Sheil's attempt to reduce this to a simple matter of two influencers with clean girl aesthetics is a mere distraction from the reality of her continual copying of my business." Gifford said she is unsure how Sheil's attorney can make claims about the demographic makeup of her audience as she doesn't have access to the information herself. She added that aside from the one video, the posts cited in her lawsuit were not part of any brand deal through Amazon or otherwise. And then it goes on to say that Sheil's court filing cites reality TV star and entrepreneur Kim Kardashian, who once wrote in a post on X, "People only rain in your parade because they're jealous of your son and tired of their shade." Which, yeah, that's made it in a lawsuit, apparently. I can only imagine that the judge reading this is probably like, what the fuck is going on here? This case stems from just that, jealousy, Sheil's attorney wrote, claiming that Sheil was younger and more successful on certain social media platforms that Gifford had not yet maximized. Gifford also disputed this, calling Sheil's claims of having been more successful online not only false but irrelevant. Why are they arguing about who's more successful online? I mean, to be fair, Gifford has said that it's irrelevant, which it definitely seems to be, but yeah, the fact that she disputed it in the first place is funny. Miss Sheil spent most of the time on both meetups asking myself and other influencers how to grow on TikTok. She said in her statement to NBC News, "The jealousy is on Miss Sheil's side only, as you can see by the extent to which she went to replicate my business." And yeah, to finish this video, I thought I would show you this video by The Legal Influence on TikTok, who is an attorney, talking about this situation.
The real question here is whether an influencer copying another influencer's aesthetic and overall brand identity and then replicating the exact same videos that the other influencer had made constitutes copyright infringement or trade dress infringement. And this is a very novel legal question because keep in mind, Alyssa didn't actually steal Sydney's content in the sense that she saved it and re-uploaded as her own. The photos and videos that Alyssa has shared are her photos and videos, but some of them are exact replicas of Sydney's posts, to the point that if the content was compared next to each other, you probably wouldn't be able to tell it apart. And so part of the argument is that Alyssa reproduced Sydney's original content. And it's very clear that she definitely copied Sydney. But does that rise to the level of copyright infringement? We shall see.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be interesting to see what the outcome of this is because, yeah, look, right, the content does seem to be copied, like I said earlier. But legally, I think it would start to be a bit scary if this became, like, the normal, where, like, creators could sue other creators for copying their content, but, like, making their own. And not because of the cases where they have just completely copied and just basically re-upload their content, but made it their own, but because, like, where do you draw the line, you know? Again, if someone makes content very similar, who's to say that that is 100% copied and you should be sued for it? Because what if, like, two influencers, like, two Instagram creators, like, post a picture and they just so happen to be wearing the same outfit, just so happen to be doing the same pose? Like, can you now sue them for that? That's where I think it could become a little bit scary.
Worth noting that Alyssa's attorneys have filed a partial motion to dismiss most of the claims, except for the copyright infringement and trade dress infringement claims. And most cases end up settling before trial, but if this case does go to trial and the court finds, yeah, this is a situation where there was copyright infringement and or trade dress infringement, that could have very significant consequences for the influencer industry. There are a lot of creators out there who have very similar styles and aesthetics, and this could potentially open the floodgates to a lot of other claims. So we'll see how this case shakes out, but it's definitely a case that I want to keep an eye on.
Yeah, so either way, that is all the updates we have up until this point. I would love to know your opinions in the comment section down below on everything that we spoke about in today's video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like on it, subscribe, all that stuff, and until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.